I'm going to tell you about instructional technology. So there's two types of educational technology. The first one, which I'm going to do, is instructional. Oftentimes when people talk about technology, they talk about assistive technology. That's him, that's not me. So instructional is to teach or practice a skill. It's you can give the kid the iPad and they can practice those important reading skills that we just heard about instead of having them practice blowing up aliens or something. And he is going to talk about assistive technology, which is to help with a function. So there's two different things. So let's start. Instructional technologies. It's so good for teachers. It reduces all that stuff that you have to carry around that you just bought from all those exhibitors. I love that stuff, but you go from room to room. For learners, it provides extensive independent practice in the skills the students have already been taught. Now you can teach them for a second, but then they use the iPads or the mobile or the computers or the mobile devices to practice on their own. Okay, structured literacy, just to recap, because I know you know this. There's two main domains. One is word recognition and writing. Don't forget about writing and spelling, which includes phoneme awareness and systematic phonics and sight words. So there's three areas. The language comprehension is the background knowledge. So it's the background knowledge, the vocabulary, the language structures. Oral speech is so different than written speech. And narrative is different than expository, is different than informational. Verbal reasoning, try to get inference, all that. And literacy knowledge. Am I reading a poem, a fable, or a textbook? So we're going to start with the word recognition, because if you don't have phoneme awareness, the knowledge of letter sounds, which you just saw in the keynote, and sight words, you're not going to be able to access the stuff that will develop language comprehension except for orally. So let's start there. Okay, please. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to start with word recognition and writing, and I'll just do a few apps. The first one is handwriting. Writing letters will improve the ability to identify them. Just looking at them won't improve the ability to write them. So why not do what's going to do best and form the letters independently? There's a lot of apps out there that are tracing letters, but tracing letters is just drawing a line on a shape. But forming letters and naming the letters as you write, that's the key. And you want to link the name of the letter with the shape of the letter. So here's my first app. Oh, and the handout that you can access by going to the box and hitting my PDF, that has a list of lots and lots of apps. It does not have this slideshow, so go ahead and take pictures of the slideshow if you want. But the handout is designed so that you can print it out, send it electronically to all your friends and neighbors, and it's got a lot more apps than what I'm showing today. There's really good apps out there, but I can't show them all. So I'm just taking a few. So this one is a nice one. It's not perfect. None of them are perfect. But Cursive Writing Wizard, there's also a Printing Writing Wizard. It has all of these different things. You can add your own audio. You can add the strokes. You can import lists. You get profiles. And now I'm going to go to, oops, I got to do one. Okay, he told me this. He said just do it once, and I go down. I go to the apps, IDA. There we go. Okay, so here's Cursive Writing Wizard. And there it is, and you can practice all these things. I'm just going to practice a letter. So I'll just go to any old letter, and I'll go to the letter H.
H.
Can you guys hear that? Okay, so it starts off where I'm tracing it. Oh, and you can change this. This rainbow kind of drives me crazy, but Dave likes it, so we're keeping it. He's got grandchildren, and he loves it. So there's H the first time, And then, oh, I have to swipe. Oh, that's the reward. I say, get rid of that award. I get rid of the reward. So you do it again, it gets smaller, it gets harder, and it gradually disappears. So that's a nice one. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint and, oh, come on. Okay, I'll go to phonemic awareness and systematic phonics. Now, phonemic awareness apps by themselves are hard to find. I found a few and I've got them in the handout. But the phonemic awareness apps emphasize the sounds of spoken language. They emphasize blending phonemes together, that's reading, or segmenting, pulling them apart, that's spelling. They don't require the knowledge of the letter names, but you can, as we found out, incorporate the letters into it because phoneme awareness is a prerequisite for learning to read, but when you learn to read, it strengthens phonemic awareness, so it's reciprocal, it goes back and forth. So, Cheesman, there we are. So the first one I'm going to show you is just the OG card deck. This is free. It's courtesy of Meyerson Academy, which is really nice. Thank them a lot. So you get the name of the letter.
B.
Oh, that's loud. You get the sound.
B.
You get the keyword.
Bat.
And you get a video.
B. B. Bat.
Which is way cool. And then I'm going to go back. It also has all these, but it's spelling practice. So I can play a sound and you have to spell it. Okay, think to yourself, how do you spell k? And then it'll show the spellings. C-K and C-K. I think that's really cool. Okay. That is, and I'll show you in just a second, it is, come on, move. Oh, and decoding acts is the most common sounds. Come on. It's OG card deck. That was that one. So each grapheme card gives the letter, the sound, the keyword, and articulation video. I've got some issues with it though. The sound is grouped with vowels as in ing or an ink. So I think that's a problem. Because what about the word jinx? It's not there. Okay, but it doesn't mean it's a bad app. I'd get it anyway. So anything that's done by Preschool U, that website there is fabulous. The guy's done a fabulous job. I'm just going to show you one. There's reading magic, there's spelling magic, there's learning letters and sounds, and it's all kinds of things. So I'm going to show you this. It's really a good app. It's a good company. The guy is responsible. And he does a good job, and it's almost flawless. So the first thing is, and I've chosen number 4 here, it's a spelling, it's a blending. So I'll do set 2, we'll see what happens. So listen carefully.
R-G-E-T.
What is it?
Target.
There it is. Nice pictures too. It's an adult voice. You can use it with older people. You can use it with adults. I ran an adult reading clinic for 12 years. Adults would respond well to this because it's not babyish. So anything by Preschool U is really good. And they're cheap. You can get free or they cost maybe $1. I told him he should charge more. That's probably not such a good thing. Okay, sound literacy is really nice. It requires a teacher. They do give a percentage of their income to IDA. I'm not associated with IDA other than I'm a speaker and a volunteer, but they do give money to IDA. This does cost quite a bit of money. The price keeps dropping, so I don't know how much it is, but I bet you they have a booth downstairs. And it has all kinds of instructional videos, everything. So I'll show you a little bit about that. So sound literacy is basically sound tiles, letter tiles. And you can customize them per student. So I can pick up vowel team person, and they have lots of different ones, but you can have single letters, consonant teams, vowel teams, and suffixes, and there's more. There's roots, Molly, morpheme. I go back to my students, and you can have prefixes, suffixes, and bases, and you can use them as you would any letter card. And there's all kinds of instructional videos for that one. Okay, let's see, where are we? It's well worth it. Okay, thank you. Pardon? The instructional videos are on their website, soundliteracy.com. And they're really good, and they'll tell you all about it. If you get this one, plan to spend some hours learning it. It's really terrific. Okay, word recognition. Now, sight words. In schools, what they do is they sit there and they do these flashcards, and the kids sort of memorize words. But there's a better way, and I'm going to show you a really good app. The effective sight word apps either are based on the Fry words, which are the 1,000 most common words as of 1980. That was quite a bit of time ago, so if anybody has a doctoral dissertation they need to write, this would be a good thing to find out what the common words are these days. The Dolch words are 220 of the most common words organized by grade rather than frequency, like the Fry. And there's no nouns in the Dolch list, so they have a noun list. I don't understand why. What I'm looking for in these apps is that there's no other words, noise, Martians flying in from the side. I don't want all that because it's clutter, and our kids are distracted by clutter. Article A has got to be read A is the name of the letter. Is the sound it makes when it's an article. Like, I want a cup of coffee badly, like that woman back there. Instead of saying, I want a cup of coffee, you sound like a special ed teacher. Seriously. So, sight words little speller is really cool because it is the high frequency words. It's the Dolch list, but it's drag and drop spelling. So that you internalize the spelling of the word. Now, these are high frequency. Some people call them sight words because you have to know them by sight. Like he was showing you, it went from the visual right to the meaning. You can't sound these out, some of them, but a lot of them you can. But we need to know these instantly because they're so common in our language. So that's why they're called sight words, not because they're phonemically or phonetically irregular. So here's sight word little speller, and there's different levels. I've just picked one.
Kind. So
there's kind. And so I made it so you can't do it out of order. So if I put the I there, it just bounces back. So K, I. It's important to name the letters as you write. N, D.
Well done. You spelled the word kind.
Cool.
Tell.
And then you go to the next one. Now, I always thought that positive reinforcement was like, oh, well, whatever. Well, I tried this with my 7-year-old grandnephew the other day. I was showing it to him. And it was like you could see him light up when she said, well done. I went, oh my gosh, it's working. So that positive reinforcement is really cool. And I've kind of cut out a lot of it because you can have different levels of the reinforcement, because I didn't want it to get in the way of the, the work. I want him to keep doing it as many as you can. So this is a great sight word app. Let's see. Okay, let's go. Now, Fry Words Ninja. He liked this one a lot too. So it's oral to written word match. So he doesn't have to spell them, which isn't as good, but it has. It's a lot of motivation for a 7-year-old kid. So, because sometimes they just want to play games. Okay, fine. So, this one's a game. Music goes away, thank the good Lord. Okay, good.
And
so what you do is you swipe it and you
How.
How, and I'm just drawing it along.
Which.
Which, and I'm drawing it along.
Which.
Oh. But if I got it wrong.
She.
Okay, go. Sorry. She.
She.
Okay, good. She. Oh, man.
There.
There. Okay, there.
If.
If. So he liked this one a lot, but he got it so that he could do two at once. I cannot. Okay.
Do.
So he really liked that, but he was smart enough that he says, I'm going to wait till more than one fly up so I can get him in one swipe. And he made his own game. So as long as he had fun, that's all I cared about. Okay, next one. So now I'm going to go. That's sort of the synopsis on word recognition and writing. There's a lot more on the handout. Every one of them is good. Try them. Now I'm going to go into language comprehension. Okay, so I'm going to do vocabulary, text structures, background knowledge. I'm going to start with vocabulary. Irregular verbs is a vocabulary because you have to know how to make present tense and past tense. And notice that we used to, they're not really irregular, they're old. We used to change the tense or the number by changing the vowel, right? When to one, it's a vowel sound. So the spelling remains predictable if you know that you're changing the vowel sound to change the number or the tense. The number would be man, men, and the tense would be when, one. So let's go on to that one. Okay, when, one. So this is a pretty good one. Let's see what we're going to come up with. Oh, I'm not doing that one. Okay, so there's different things where you match. There's different
Which items go together?
So notice blue,
blow.
See how it's just the vowel sound that changes, but the spelling remains consistent between the tenses. So all I do is thank you. Bet. I bet you, and it's the same.
You did it. Bend.
Bend. Now this one is changing the consonant sound.
Sweet.
Thank you. I love getting that positive reinforcement. And when the wrong answer, it just repeats it. And he was saying, well, what happens when we do it wrong? Let's do it wrong. Okay, now wordnik is really cool because you can look up phrases. Most places you can only look up words, but this one you can look up phrases. So if I go to wordnik.com and this is you can do it on an app, but you can do it on a computer. So I'm going to type in, and it's L-O-N-G in the tooth, which is like, you see that and you think, what the heck does that mean? Old, aged. Some of us are like that. Possibly from the practice of examining the length of horses' teeth when estimating their ages. An old horse has long rectangular incisors. Isn't that interesting? I would have never known that. So wordnik, you can look up phrases. Okay. Now, often when we're teaching reading, we're thinking, oh, it's not my job to teach math. But math vocabulary can be really hard for kids. So this website, mathlearningcenter.org, web apps, math vocabulary cards, there's all kinds of stuff at mathlearningcenter.org, and it's all free. It's really good. So this is kind of a gold mine of a site. So here's math vocabulary, and here's what your deck looks like. And you can choose which cards you want to view, and you can choose the age. So let's see, I'm doing fractions. When I'm doing grades K through 12, it's fourth, fraction, half, and whole. But if I'm doing grades 3 through 5, I get a lot more. Cool, huh? So I can do that, and I'm ready to start. So here's fractions. So here's the visual. Here's the definition, and it does not read it to you. All, everything, all the parts, undivided. What do you think the word is? Whole? Whole. You got it. Nice. You can knock out the definition and just have the pictures. I'm going to knock out the definition. Fraction. What's the definition of a fraction? Our language impaired kids are going to have trouble with this one. So it's part of a number expresses the same number of equal parts of a whole. I don't like that one. So it has different parts to it. I think you can customize this. And it's English and Spanish. I forgot to show you that. I think that's cool. So if you're learning Spanish, you can change it to Spanish and you can learn Spanish while you're doing it, which is neat. It was just a touch of the button. I just changed it. Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. Trying to change the slide. There we go. Okay, word flex. Now this is really kind of an interesting deck. You can search for words and related forms of the verbs, like phrasal verbs. There's all kinds of different things in this. And so I'll go into the word flex and I'll type in teach. So I say, okay, teach is what I want. And it gives you the start. It tells you how to read it.
Teach.
If you're
Teach.
British.
Teach.
Teach.
English. And so all of these have different things. So I'm going to train or educate you. And so then it kind of explodes. Oh my gosh. Double tap within your working area. Okay, got it. So here's all the teach. And you can uncollapse it. And here's some more, and you can uncollapse it. Cause to learn. So it's teach with, teach informal verb, teaches, taught, teaching, education. What's a teacher called? Yowie. I guess we have a lot of names. We have counselor, guru, I like that. Mentor, guide, sophist, dominee, pundit, schoolmarm, yeah. My 9th great grandmother was the first schoolmarm in Connecticut, which is kind of cool. So I like this. And so once I get all these meanings, then I hit this little thing at the top it says under 4:11 p.m. And you can make a poster and you can print the poster. Isn't that cool? So you can do all kinds of things with WordFlex. I really like it. Let's see, where are we? Next one. Morphology, the meaning units of the word. Now this is a really cool website. neilramsden.co.uk. And you go to the root and then you can do the spelling. What it does is it'll build word matrices from a list of word sums. So for instance, you've got the word sign, and then you can do redesign, redesigned, or resign, or signal. Notice how the spelling stays the same, but the pronunciation will change. Signify, signation? I don't think so. Resign, let me see. Signing. Resignate, that's it. Designate, designation, that's what it is. Designate, designation. So I'm not going to go to the website because it will take so long. But here you go into it and you put your base in. You can put its denotation in to give information. And then you type the word forms. And it has directions right in it. It's real easy to use. And then you get the word matrices and you can actually have this word sums. But then what I did in my class with my teacher educators is I said, okay, let's make a worksheet where they had sentences down below. And then the student had to figure out which form of the word went into the space on the page, but the spelling was right there. It's not like you gave them the word. They had to create the word form, but the spelling was there. So it's a really nice way to increase your vocabulary. When I go to get a manicure, she says, oh, I have such a poor vocabulary, so I gave her the word sum for mana, and it was manifold and manufacture and all that, and she loved it. And this is a woman with a high school education, so every time I go in, which isn't often enough, I suppose, and she has got a new word, she wants a new word sum, so that she can help her vocabulary. So it's kind of cool, and she thinks it's fun. So now text structures are important because this is the language part, but sometimes with our kids, it's a little weak. And some of the kids. So this rainbow sentences is developed by speech and language pathologists, and it's at mobileeducatorstore.com. And the whole idea is to construct grammatically correct sentences. And there's a lot of scaffolding in it. So I'll show you what it is. For rainbow sentences.
Welcome back to Rainbow Sentences.
Go away. Okay, so my big gripe with this one is it starts with this page, and you're thinking, well, what is this? But what you can do is you can have your audio instruction on, correct answer reinforcement, record the correct answer. I'm going to turn that off because you can actually read it. The complexity level, I'll put it at 3 for now. Line color coding on, word color coding, I'm going to put that on too. And word grouping, I'm going to start by putting that on. Now you have to go to, you can see those little tiny things at the bottom. And it's right next to the settings. It's play, and it's a kid running. That is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. But that's what it is. So here it is. So now you have to put it in order, but I've given us some scaffolding. So you notice I've got blue lines and I got blue words. So the shoes.
The shoes.
And then what's next? Oh, are hiding.
Are hiding.
It's cute. Now it's, what's next? Under the bed. Okay.
Under the bed.
Hoping the dog won't find them. I've had dogs like this.
Hoping the dog won't find them.
Oops, come on.
Hoping the dog won't find them.
Okay, good. And then I'm done.
That's right. The correct sentence for this picture is, the shoes are hiding under the bed, hoping the dog won't find them.
So I'll show you, now I'll adjust the settings. I'm going to turn word grouping off. I'm going to turn word coloring off. And I'm going to turn word line coding off. Now I'm going to play. Oh my gosh, now see how hard it is? So look at this for a second and then tell me what to do. The
crocodile
is jumping. Where's is?
Is jumping.
Into the water, into
the water. So he can fish. Catch the.
Are we good? I'm done.
That's right. The correct sentence for this
good.
picture is
Bye.
the crocodile.
Okay, so I think it's a good app. I really like it. I haven't found any problems with that one. It's pretty good. Sentence reading is, again, preschool U. You can get the short vowel one, you can get the consonant blood one. So these are decodable. And there's about 324 sentences per app in cursive and manuscript. And there's apps for short vowels. There's got high frequency words. And the website has even more. And if you want even more, you can pay for it, but not much. Come back here. Stop that. Okay, good. So I'll do sentence 2. Oh, it's deluxe. He got the good one. Good for you, Dave. It's a really good one. So sentence building. So 2 words, 3 words, 4 words, 5 words, 5 to 6. So I'll do that one.
He has a glass of milk.
Okay, cool. And all I do is put it in order. He has notice it said a glass of milk. I put it together. And I was a music minor. I'm a music teacher as well, and I really like that they give a little music. So I can do word sounds, word hints, completion sound, announce a sentence. I can do men or women. I can do cursive. Done. See, and now it's cursive. Isn't that great? Because they never can read cursive. So I think it's really good. Okay. Back to the next one. Following directions. I just found this app. I hope that they continue to do this one. This is quite good because it has some very complex things. There's intuitive games, oral narration, but what it is it's practicing multi-step directions, which is fabulous. For example, touch the star, then the moon. Before you touch the ball, touch the apple. And that's very hard for kids who have language learning impairments. They may be able to decode, they may not, but this part is really hard for them. So let's see what we get here. Okay, here's a good one.
After you touch the worm, touch the wolf.
So I have to think, after I touch the worm, touch the wolf.
Worm, wolf. After you touch the baby, touch the stroller.
So let me see if I do it backwards. Oh, I just heard touch the stroller.
Stroller.
Oh, rats.
Baby. Stroller. After you touch the umbrella, touch the raincoat.
So that's pretty good. And then...
Touch the shortest giraffe.
Say what? No. On that one, yes, but not necessarily. So here, touch the shortest, what does it say?
Touch the shortest giraffe.
I can do that.
Touch the shorter pencil.
So it gets into
touch
that.
Touch the big dog.
Okay, I'm going away.
After you touch the mouse, touch the cheese.
So here it's backwards. So I'm going to do this.
Cheese.
Hey, that's my last name. Do you mind?
Mouse. Cheese. Before you touch the ladybug,
so see?
Touch the mosquito.
I think it's good. And I wish they had more. They just have a few. So I'm hoping that company will do some more alligator apps. They have some pretty good stuff. Some of it not so much. Oh, phrasal verbs. Okay, so if you have an ELL learner, English language learner, or maybe a teacher, because we never got taught this, but this is really hard for English language learners. So they have two, phrasal verb machine and Phraselstein. That's your Halloween version. But it's the same thing, but it's kind of funny. So this one requires good reading skills or a reading assistant. And the phrasal verb view, you view the animation and then you try to get the right phrase. In the exercise view, you choose the picture that goes with the phrase. So let's see what happens here. I'll use this one. Okay, so this is just the straight machine. You can turn off the music because it drives me nuts. I think you do the phrasal verb view first. Okay, so I open it and I can figure out what I want to do. So you can do meet up, make up, or make out. Okay, so let's do make up. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so now we're going to view, and I think you have to look really closely. So look at it. So what was that? That was make up. So now make out, and I got worried. Oh, I can't make out the meaning. Okay. So that's what that is. Whew. So see, it's okay. So if I go home and I choose exercise, now look closely. Okay, what was that? Was it get in, come from, pack up, pack out, packs out, or make out? Which one was it? Do you want to see it again? See if I can do it. Maybe get in? Try get in. Okay, we got it. Okay. And get in. And we all use phrasal verbs all the time, like line up. That's a phrasal verb. It does prepositions. It's not a prepositional phrase, it's a phrasal verb. So right word, this is a little higher. It's good for this audience. It's kind of hard, but it's good for high school kids, good for middle school kids. It requires a reader. Frequently misuse words within the context of a sentence. If you're sitting at the dentist's office waiting, this is a great game for all of us to play. So I'll show it to you. The right word, and you have to look up the right word on iTunes because I couldn't find a website anywhere. I'll go to the right word. Okay, so we'll choose picker, and I'll do word flow. Mad dash is too quick for me. I'll choose medium. Oh, I should choose hard. Let's choose hard. What the heck? Okay, so let's see. This side of the room, do the first word, and this side of the room, do the second word. And you can just shout it out, but the first word gets the first one. Okay, ready? Okay. Ready, set, go. Okay, this guy. What's the first word? Top one or bottom one? Top. You guys. Top or bottom? You got it. You chose properly, not right. First word. Bottom. Top. You guys are brilliant. Okay. Quit. Oh, wait. The music drives me nuts. Dave, we got to get the music out of here. It's those settings. So let's see. Sound. No sound. Yes. Back. Okay, good. Now I got rid of the music. Okay, medium, word flow, start game. This one, you have to go the whole list. See the idea? We won't do it now because I want to have time. Okay. Yes, you can, because if it's wrong, let's see. I wonder if it's spotter. Easy start. Oh, okay. So the manager, tap on the sentence with the correct usage. The manager offered a guarantee of either a replacement or a refund. If you want your allowance, neither mow the lawn nor... Okay, so that one's wrong, right? So if I hit it... Oh, it is? Oh, it does not have the right word. Oh, I tried to do it wrong. He did a good job. Tap on the sentence with the incorrect. No. Okay, good. Next. Then when I quit, see score. And it will tell you your problem words. So we had to make an error, but you guys were too good. So it will if you make an error. If you're right, you already know it, so why... I don't know the answer to that, but you could always have them say, show me your score, take a screenshot and email it to me. And they will know how to do it even if you don't. You can get your email. They know how to do it. I got 4 minutes. Okay. Oh, come on. There we go. Bedtime math. I really like this one. It has 3 difficulties levels. Dave, did you? Okay, good. Should be ready. Okay. Daily math problems with authentic scenarios. I don't know why they call it bedtime math, because if I did this at bedtime, it would wake me up. But it's a good morning math. It's good for classrooms. Good, it's upside down. Okay, good. So you can choose anything you want, and see, it's for November 5th, November 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Here's the day. But you can go back and get archived. So here's a story, and then it's upside down for me. You go all the way to the bottom, and you can do wee ones, little kids, big kids, or the sky's the limit. So the wee one, here's the question, and I can't read it because on my screen it's upside down. Okay, so which one is holding fewer? 8 in one, 9 in the other. Okay, that's the wee ones. The big kids, I can't read it. 2 foot deep water. Oh, wow. Remaining. Wow, that's a hard one, isn't it? Like I said, I couldn't do this at bedtime. But I think it's neat because it's math. It's helping them find the key words to the math problems. And a lot of times when the kids have comprehension problems, they have math word problem issues. And the talk we just heard now revealed a little bit more information on that, at least for me. I thought it was fascinating. I'm trying to change the slide, Dave. There we go. Okay, interactive books. Of all the apps I showed my grandnephew, 7 years old, rambunctious kid who likes to slide down mud hills, this was his favorite, and he kept going back to it. He lives in Cumming, which is near here, so I was having a good time with him over the weekend. And these interactive books are really good, and I showed him Pop-Up Peter, which is the only one I had. And what it does, you can read to me or read it by myself. It has music, which I turned off.
The Tale of Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter.
And it has simultaneous.
Once upon a time there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a very big fir tree.
And so when you touch words...
Rabbits.
So then he can read it himself. He can hear it once and read it. Notice he's got See, I told you it was fluent. If it's A, it's not fluent. And big fir tree, and it has little...
Now, my dears, said old Mrs. Rabbit one morning,
animation.
You may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an accident there. He was put in a pie by Mrs. McGregor.
So he loved this book. He loved it, and I didn't expect that. I was just trying to get him to settle down. I have 30 seconds. It's an app. It's Loud Crow, interactive. Loud Crow. Okay, grammar. Can I have 30 more seconds? Thank you. Okay, so Grammarly is fabulous. I use it. If you download it into your computer, it will automatically correct your punctuation, word usage, spelling errors in your Facebook posts, in your emails, and you can drag and drop a full paper into it and it will fix it. So here's an example of one of my students' mindfulness meditation training in school. She wrote a paper, but she was quite dyslexic. So she's writing along, and it's mindfulness mediation. And then it turned into mindfulness medication. And I went, oh, we have a problem. So what she did was the app itself will say, training, is that what you want? Possibly confused word, medication. It underlines it, but you have to change it. So it points out your errors, but it won't just do that annoying autocorrect, which drives me crazy. And then no red ink. Oh my gosh, this is the best website since sliced bread. It's part assistive, part instructional. It's very easy to use. The free version is very easy to use. It goes from grade 1 to college level and does things like those nasty passive, active and passive voice verbs, right? And you can decide what you want. And then it will give you an activity to do. You have to be able to read. And then if you don't get it right, you can show a hint. And it will give you a hint. And I've lost count of all the categories it does. And then, of course, if you haven't heard of Florida Center for Reading Research, fcrr.org, there are thousands of free worksheets on all 5 components. And it's just a goldmine of instruction. And here's one of the worksheets. I mean, it's just hundreds and hundreds of worksheets. And now it's Dr. Dave. You're welcome.
Thank you, Elaine. I have a bit.ly up here because we realized yesterday that somehow my resource list didn't make it onto the app. I tried to make the bit.ly as easy as possible. So you'll notice it's IDA 17 and then my initials, DCW. And so you can go on there, and I had my daughter in Massachusetts make sure that she could find it and download it today. So it's there. And it will cover all the apps and things that I'm going to talk about. I'm really curious. This is Friday late afternoon, and there have been many, many, many sessions on technology, which is phenomenal. Elaine and I met the year after iPads came out, and we each got a presentation for iPads. And so I went to hers, and then she saw me, and so we've been working in collaboration ever since then. How many of you have been to at least one other tech thing? So doing it on Friday afternoon, it's a little nerve-wracking because we always worry that you've seen everything we're going to talk about. But I've been to several of them, and Elaine talked about a whole bunch of things that weren't talked about anywhere else. A couple of mine you probably will, but that should be okay. I wanted to say all that so you could get that bit.ly thing written down. As Elaine was talking, instructional technology is what she specializes in. And if you're really interested, about every 3 months or so, there is an article column that she has in the IDA's online newsletter called The Examiner. Dr. Cheesman's App Chat, I think is what it's called. And then a month or two later, you might see one from me, Dr. Dave's AT Lab, because I'm going to be talking about assistive technology. It's not like we don't know about the other, but it's kind of what we talk about. So the easiest way I think about when I'm thinking about what assistive technology is it's something to make life easier. All of us have used assistive technology. In fact, did you call home today or last night? If you did, you used a device that was invented to help somebody who had a hearing impairment. A very early assistive technology for that. Not all assistive technology needs electricity. A lot of it is what we call low tech, where there's no electricity involved at all. But it essentially helps somebody do a function that normally they find difficult and sometimes absolutely impossible. And so one of the things I want to make sure is very clear. I am a firm believer that as long as the person is willing to keep learning how to read and write, you keep direct instruction up. And that this, though, can help. I mean, even a 3rd or 4th grader who needs help in learning how to read or write, through assistive technology, they can keep up with what their class is doing. And that's the whole idea of it. So I'm going to talk today about assistive technology for both reading and writing. Now, I want to keep in mind, I have kind of a Dr. Dave's principles, and these are 3 of them. The first one, and this is really important, one size does not fit all. And so there are often optional ways from what I'm going to tell you. I've picked, because of the time we have, just 1 or 2 in each area to talk about, the ones that I kind of like the most, or the ones that I have found in working with people that they seem to work the best. But one size does not fit all. And so you need to get a whole bag of possibilities. Secondly, whenever possible, try before you buy. Now, some of these things, they don't have a trial, which is sad, but I can also understand sometimes why they don't have a trial. But whenever you can, make sure you try it, because you might think it's the best thing that's ever been invented, and you're going to have somebody, whether it's a child or an adult, that looks at it and goes, oh man, this is really weird. Or they'll try it out and say, oh, I don't really like how this works, or it's not working for me. And the third thing is, do you want to spend $100, $250, $10 and have it sit on the side or never be used? The reason why that happens often is because nobody sat down to teach the user how to use it. And did you hear Elaine say with sound literacy, plan to spend a couple hours playing around with it? That is true for most of the apps and devices out there, for many of them, even the ones that are kind of intuitive. You need to give some guided help for the folks to use it. Otherwise, they're not going to use it. And then it's a waste of a lot of things, a waste of resources. So let's talk about assistive technology for reading first. When we think about reading and assistive technology, there's actually several different tasks that we need to think about. And we need to make sure we connect the task to whatever app or device we're using. So there are some things that work really well for books or printed materials. There are other, that book, I loved in the last session, I'm introducing you to this new technology called a book. Another thing for computer or web-based reading. And then lastly, for documents, like the handout that you get when you come into class. So there's different things that you can use for all of these, and I'm going to talk about them. One of the first apps out there and technologies was the Kurzweil. And it was where they invented by the same guy that did the Kurzweil synthesizer. And what he did is he got a big old scanner. So you'd scan a page of a book, and then he wrote a computer program that converted that into binary something or other, and then converted it so that it would talk back to you. The latest version of this is called K3000. And I mean latest because last week it was called Firefly. When I went in, just recently, yesterday, it was now K3000. The app is free for the iPad. You can get a number of public domain materials and use the app with it. I'm going to demonstrate it in just a moment. If your school or library has the Kurzweil accounts, then anything that gets uploaded to the Kurzweil account can be read by the app that's on an iPhone, a mobile device, or some other kind of device. So let me bring up the Kurzweil 3000, the K3000. And this is, notice I can log in. I don't have that account. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to do this. And these are the things that they have that are the freebies. So classic literature, and they have a lot. I mean, lots and lots and lots and lots. So let's go for A. And I used to live in Massachusetts and drive past Concord, Mass all the time, so I always liked Louisa May Alcott. So let's go to her book, Little Women. We'll go ahead and start the book, chapters 1 through 9. And in a moment, it will bring it up, and I press this little thing, and it should read it for me, I hope. It did earlier.
Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Chapter 1. Christmas won't be Christmas without any presents, grumbled Joe, lying on the rug.
Now, maybe that was too fast. Maybe you didn't like that voice. So let's change it. Let's go ahead and go to Sharon instead. And actually, that one is a little fast for me, so I'm going to slow it down just a little bit there. And so let's start out and see what that sounds like.
Rug. It's so dreadful to be poor! Exclamation. Sighed Meg, looking down at her old dress. I don't think it's fair for some girls to have plenty of pretty things, and other girls nothing at all, added little Amy, with an injured sniff. Okay, so there are many things that you can customize. You can take off the highlighting, you can change the colors, you can do all kinds of stuff with the voices. They have other voices. If you're part of the thing, they have lots and lots and lots of voices. But this is a nice app that a student can use, which I think is very good. And this part is free. So we like free, right? Well, at least I like free. So the next one I want to show you is another way to do it. A couple of years ago, I spoke at a state conference, and somebody raised their hand and said, why isn't there a way to take a picture of text and have it read to you? Well, there had been the Intel Reader by Ben Foss, and that was very popular. Actually, I think it was debuted at one of these conferences, which was really cool. And then, like a week after, between that time and the time that I was speaking at the IDA conference, I came across the KNFB Reader, which is an app that has been developed by the Association for the Visually Handicapped. And it's very, very good. It's also very expensive. They used to not have any free trial because it's basically $100, $99.99, right? I had a student in one of my classes who's visually impaired, and I talked about this app, and he went online, and they have a 25 trial usage of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch devices here. So this is going to go blank for just a moment while I put this on my phone and I change the audio to, oh no, the audio isn't going to work because I got this new fancy phone. Oh well, okay. Let me see what I can do, okay. Yeah, right. I will try to do that. Okay. So here's, and I wish I had a way to show this to you because I don't, but I'll hold it up. So this is the app. This is designed primarily for people who have visual impairment. So it uses the voiceover and it also uses vibration. I have a little tilt thing on because I keep having problems getting it straight enough. And so as I'm trying to take a picture, what happens is it vibrates for me. So I know so you can see this. That's right. Okay, good. So here is something that I picked up this last week. And I'm going to just take a picture of it, if I can figure out how to do this right. I tend to shake at these things. So let's see how we do.
Closer look. Principles, elements, and practices of structured literacy. Structured literacy emphasizes the structure of language, including the speech sound system, phonology, the writing system, orthography, the structure of sentences, Syntax, the meaningful part of words morphology.
Now, did you notice how long it took for it to take the picture and to start talking? And how accurate it was. It was accurate because for once I actually got it level. There are a few things it doesn't like. If you're reading like a children's book or any kind of book where the first letter of a chapter is like 14 times bigger than the rest of the word, it can't figure out what to do with that. They have done a lot of work to try to work around how to deal with illustrations and graphics on a page. It's not perfect, but it's not too bad. I introduced this to a college student early on when I first got this, and he said it totally changed his life of reading his textbooks. Because one of the things you can do is not have it speak to you right away. You can put it on batch mode, and you can do an entire chapter and then read as you want or pick where you want it to pick up. It has many different languages that it will read in. I originally thought it translated, but it doesn't. But it will read in many different languages. And they even have a little device where you can put it on something. Now, you notice I changed from the iPad, because I have it on my iPad, to my phone. Were any of you wondering why I did that? It's so much easier for me to control the size of the phone than the big old iPad. Now, a mini iPad might be okay, but I find that this size works really, really, really well. I can save the files, I can go back and stuff, and it's not 100% accurate, but it is very, very, very good. And the handout that I used is something that I got at a meeting that I was at, and talking about the new process that we're trying to go through here for the educational certification and stuff that Elaine has worked on a lot. So that is the KNFB reader. I think it's great. I'll be honest, when I do AT consultations, I don't think I've had anybody yet that tried this out that didn't like it. That doesn't mean I'm not going to have somebody, but they all kind of like it. Let's see, I want to make sure I didn't skip something. Okay, so now that is for printed text, right? Actually, I want to go to the next one. Give me a second here. Nope, I'm not. I'll come back to that in a minute. Okay, so here is something that we can use to look at computer-based text. I can actually take this, I could take a picture of it or something, or get it OCR'd and upload it. Voice Dream Reader will read almost anything. But one of the things I really like Voice Dream Reader for is stuff from the internet. So let me bring it up. You notice that there's a light version that's free, and that means it works for like 5 minutes or something for you to try it out. But it's only $15. That's not too horrible. So let me go to the Voice Dream Reader here. And I'm just going to show you the app first. And then I'm going to show you how cool it is and how seamlessly it works. So this is what the app looks like. And a little bit earlier, I went on, but I want to show you how this works. Hopefully I can do it. So here's Safari. Let me go on to Safari, and let me not go to WordNick. Let me go to Dyslexia. Okay, anytime. DYS, dyslexia.org. Oh, here. That will get me right there, right where I want to be. So you don't have to just watch me do all that stuff. Okay, so this is an article that somebody wrote called Dr. Dave's AT Lab that maybe I want. Now, the nice thing is IDA has a web browser reader that you can use, but let's say I didn't have that. So if I go up here to this little share icon, and then I go down here, I will say save to Voice Dream. So it will now extract that, and I can I have different choices of how I want to do it. I'm just going to save it like this. And then I will go over to my voice stream reader right here. And you notice it just showed up. So I tap on it, and it's ready to read it.
Share this, February 2015, at For Reading, Alternative Strategies Using App by David C. Winters. Welcome back. I must say, I really enjoy your visits to my ed lab. I do hope you've been able to try some of the ideas we've already shared.
Okay, now I can change my voices. Wait, let me change my voices. I can change my rate. So let's see, this was Samantha. Let me change it down to Will. And they do some really cool things. The iOS voices, it doesn't work. I can change my font and the spacing of the font. And so right now the font I have is Avenir Next. I could change it to Chalkboard, the Dyslexia font, if you like that idea, or Open Dyslexic, they have that. So let me go back to Avenir Next because that's what I like. And now listen.
The last time you visited, you had some young children with you, and we talked about how to help them as they are learning to read.
Now the fascinating thing to me is that that is not a human voice. That is a computer-generated voice. I don't know about you, but I remember many years ago coming to a session with some of those original Kurzweil things where, it was that computer voice. But it even has some intonation with it, which is phenomenal. So that's Voice Dream Reader. Something that's just a little bit cheaper than that is Speaky. And Speaky is an unusual app because the price actually went down. I've noticed it used to be $4.99, now it's $3.99. You don't have to worry about going to that website. There's almost nothing there except a listing of what this person has developed. It's kind of cool. It has an Apple Watch app. I have an Apple Watch. I just don't know how to use the app on it yet. I'm not sure how it would work. You can enter text manually. It also does extraction, where it will take out all the pictures and stuff like that. It will do various languages. So here are some things, and let's see here. Wait. Okay, wait, let me go to this one. Okay, so
Share This by David C. Winters, Ph.D. October 2016. Oh, you're a bit early today. Let me get out my keys and open the door to the lab. Here we go. Why don't you sit down by the
now,
computer
do you
over
notice
there while I
how
put
it's
away
doing
my things
every
and get my
individual
tablet?
word
Were you
there?
able to try any of the reading strategies?
So there's actually a couple different ways that the person can follow along if they want to follow along. They can do it by looking at one word at a time, which would drive me nuts, or they could do it by the highlighting. And there's a lot of customization that you can do with this as well, which is absolutely phenomenal. So anything that you can get on the web, you can then get into either Voice Dream Reader or Speaky. You can actually type, I think, directly into Speaky. I don't think you can do that with Voice Dream Reader. And then, let me make sure, oh yes. And so then last year, I went down to the exhibit hall, and I just happened to see this reading pen thing. And it was really interesting because I think about 2 weeks before last year's conference, Elaine wrote to me and said, do you have any ideas of a reading pen that might, be helpful? And my thing was, I don't like reading pens. I always have found them really bulky. They didn't work very well. Is from what I figured. And most of the ones I had seen, you needed some kind of wire or something. And so I went down there, and I just happened to come across the C pen, which is, I'll be honest, it's down there today. I'm very glad they're here because otherwise you would not be getting a demonstration because I left mine at home. This is one they're letting me borrow for a couple hours, which I really appreciate. And this C pen is so cool. A bit pricey, but it's so self-contained. See, because I can carry this in my pocket. Nobody knows. And I can use headphones with it, which I'm going to do for you in a moment. You won't be able to see what I'm doing, but I'll use headphones. So I can listen to it in class. By the way, any of these things that read out loud or do anything out loud, if it's in a classroom situation, the student should probably be using headphones or earphones so they don't distract other people. They have a right and left-handed version. So, I mean, not separate pens. It's a setting. So when they gave it to me this afternoon, it was right-handed, and I've switched to left-handed because I'm in my right mind. Right? Okay. And so it's essentially a little scanner. Works incredibly, incredibly well. Let me show you just a couple things on it. Let me get it turned on. And I wish you could see me do this, but you'll just take my word for it. I'm using the exact same thing. I'm using the exact same thing as I had before. And I think I'm ready to go here.
Although all aspects of this instruction are essential for students with dyslexia, this instruction also.
So you do one line at a time. I think there's a way to actually scan a whole paragraph or a whole page or a whole chapter and save it as a file. But generally, if I'm using... my suggestion for this pen is for a test. That's a paper pencil test. Or a worksheet that is handed out. That way the teacher just hands it out like everybody else, as long as, because it only works with printed materials, not handwritten. And then it has this little scanner there. So there's another setting that is really cool that I want to try to go to here. Give me a second here. A dictionary. So let's say there's a word that I'm not real positive what it is. So I can turn on the dictionary, and in this version of the pen, they have, it will read English and it will read Spanish. And they have an English-English dictionary, and they have English-Spanish and Spanish-English dictionaries. So let's say I'm going along and I go, oh man, you know what? I don't know what the word dyslexia means. So let me scan that.
Dyslexia.
So it gave me the word.
Dyslexia. Dyslexia, DSLKS, and a developmental disorder which can cause learning difficulty in one or more of the areas of reading, writing, technical name.
I'm having problems with the audio.
SLKTK, ADJ, N. Dyslexic ADJ etymology from dyslexia.
So I'm going to stop that. So this is absolutely phenomenal. And in practical use, what I've found with people that are using this, it works really well for those like tests that they get in school or handouts in school. If they have the KNFB reader, if it's a whole handout, they could possibly take a picture of it, but then you have a problem with, starting and stopping. This, they can get whatever they want, but it will only scan essentially one line at a time, so you have to be aware of that. So it's kind of odd where it might stop. But this is absolutely perfect for the student who is coming along really well in learning how to read. But there are words that they come across and they can't figure out, and they maybe don't have the skills yet to figure them out. So they can do this for one word or a phrase. It's very, very good. And I've also gotten incredibly good feedback from the folks that I've recommended to it. So, and I want to share my appreciation to the folks downstairs. And yes, I will bring it back to them in just a few minutes after we're done, right? But that was good. So I've been talking about reading. Let's spend a few minutes tells me I have almost 15 minutes left to talk about writing. Writing is another area, and there's several issues that we need to think about writing for assistive technology. One of those areas is the planning. Many people, including some people without dyslexia or people like me, I can sit down at a computer and have a great train of blank. I'll just sit there. I can't figure out what. So I need some help with planning. A lot of our kids that we work with need help with planning. And you can do this in reverse, by the way, because you can also use it for reading comprehension. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about drafting, getting the things down, and then I'm going to spend just a couple moments talking about note-taking. So you may have heard about inspiration or kidspiration maps. This is the best way, and I think because of time, and I know they've been covered in other sessions, and you can look on it on your own. I'm not going to open this one up. But it's a great way. In fact, when I did my dissertation, I did it on reading comprehension. I used inspiration to analyze my reading passages for main ideas and supporting details of 6 levels, so that when I had students tell me back what they read from their science reading, I could analyze primarily main ideas, what level of detail did they remember after reading it twice out loud. And it was really interesting. Elaine and I worked on a chapter for a book a few years ago, and it was overwhelming for me. So I did an inspiration map to get myself organized and figure out what do I want to cover, what's important there. They have a computer version. They have iPad versions that are $10 each. The computer version is more. You can go back and forth, but it's a bit clunky. It's not seamless yet. Hopefully one of these days they'll get it so that it is, but right now it isn't. But it's still workable. I'm sure you've heard about the iPhone, iPad dictation. With the advent of Siri a few operating versions ago. So here's what it is. Anytime, you see where the arrow's going? On any app, if the keyboard comes up and you see the little microphone somewhere, it means you can use dictation. All you have to do is tap that little microphone. And it's almost instantaneous. It's incredibly accurate. I mean, really, really accurate. And then you can always go back and check things out and fix things too. This dictation's really good. They now have it on the Mac, where it works pretty well. There is a Windows way to do it, but I'm not going to tell you how to do it because you have to do all kinds of stuff. It's easier on the Apple devices, essentially. And I'm sure there's a way to do it on Chrome, too. Okay, so, whoops. So one of the things I do, if anybody has been sitting around me while I've been taking notes or watching me do anything, is I use Swipe. Now, Swipe was originally designed for the Android phones. Now it's for iPads too. I absolutely love Swipe. So let me show you. Now, Swipe is an alternate keyboard. Dictation is also an alternate keyboard. You can only use one at a time. I wish that I could do dictation and then do some swiping when I need to. But let me go ahead and bring up my notepad. And let me see here if I can get, oh, thank you. What's new? Apparently I didn't open this morning. Okay, so let's see now. Let me open a new thing here. There we go. This is not the Swipe keyboard. I need to get the Swipe keyboard up here. There we go, Swipe. So just watch what I do as I type along. Let me try to get to a different place. Okay, here we go. Oops. Yeah, okay, so it didn't like that. By the way, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but autocorrect, I think, has changed in iOS 11. Has anybody else had problems with it coming up with the wrong thing? Yeah, all the time. I've noticed that this week a lot. Here we are at... So do you see what I'm doing? So one of the things that this is so... Whoops, not yeast. One of the things that's so nice about this, notice how it did the contraction for me? Very often, if I have a student who isn't real perfect with their typing, you get close and it's going to get the right word. And it's very smooth. Much easier to use on a phone than on an iPad. iPad mini's okay probably, but there's a lot of screen space you have to go to. So I'm not nearly as accurate here as I am with the others. But swipe, 99 cents. It used to be free on the Android. I don't know if it still is or not, but it's absolutely phenomenal. Very, very, very good. Okay, well, how about some composing help getting the stuff in or writing? Co-writer. Co-writer has become one of my favorites because now they have a co-writer universal. So it's one of my favorites. However, I want to tell you that they have a free version, which is what I'm going to show you. You don't get all the features. They have a subscription-based plan for everything with all the features. But the nice thing about Co-Writer Universal is it's universal for devices. So I can use it on a Windows machine, on a Apple machine, all the different phones and that. And that's why it's called universal. And it's very, very good. Now, by the way, if you have a student that is paying the $4.99 a month, you as their teacher or you as their parent can also download versions for free so that you can support that student, which I think is pretty good. One of the things I think is really cool about Co-Writer is that they have specialized dictionaries, and you can even make your own, so that if you're doing something very scientific, you can bring in a scientific dictionary, and it will do word prediction with that. It integrates with a lot of different apps and a lot of different file types. And my best suggestion, I was going to show it, but I'm not going to, again, because of time, is to go on their website. They have great videos, and there's a lot of information out there, and try it out, because there is a free version that you can try out. Another way of doing it, and this is a way that deals more with the grammar, even more so. Oh, by the way, one other thing about Co-Writer, it was designed primarily originally for people with dyslexia. So the predictive aspect of it, because they have their own word prediction, is actually based on the kinds of things that people with dyslexia may be actually looking for, which I think is a good help. Ginger Page is free on an iPad, and I think it's probably only available for Apple things. You can pay a $3.99 subscription for it. It does work on Windows, and it has this grammar checker that's really cool, and that's actually what I want to show you for just a moment. And it has one of the things that I like to use when I'm working on writing. Sometimes when you're writing, you say, oh, that sentence doesn't make much sense. I wish there was a better way to say it, right? And of course, when I'm speaking, I really have a terrible time thinking, okay, this is probably not going to come up with anything. But so do you see that one of the words is in blue? That's because I probably misspelled it, which I did. And so it has the choice right there. So all I have to do is, and it changes it for me. Now, I don't think my sentence is long enough, but we're going to try it. If you do this little feather, what it will try to do, let's see. I think with the with the paid version, it will read to you. Oh, I'm having a terrible time. Outside. This is also because I know I don't have much time left. Day outside, crony. Well, that's there. Okay, don't, but there should be, okay. Yes, there we go. Let's get that fixed. Okay. I probably should have had the thing. But anyways, let's see if that worked. Sure, I love it. Okay. Whoops. No, I don't want to go and tell you how much I love it. Let me take care of that when we're alone, right? So down here are alternate ways that I could have said the same thing. Today is a beautiful day outside. Don't you remember? Probably not. Today's a beautiful day outside. Don't you recall? Today is a beautiful day outside. Don't you recollect? And actually, the way I wrote it is probably good enough, right? But I love that it does this. The other thing it does is let's translate this into Arabic, because I teach at a school that we have a lot of students from Saudi Arabia and there. So this is a translation, and so there it is in Arabic. Do you see it down there? Or maybe I want to do it, let's do it in French, because I actually kind of know French. Let's see if I can. Aujourd'hui, c'est vendredi. Okay, so cool little thing that it does, right? And this one actually has things to teach you grammar and do all kinds. It's with the paid version. It's phenomenal. I wish I could tell you. I don't know. I'm so sorry. Good question, though. Okay, so in my last 2 minutes and 41 seconds, I wanted to talk about note-taking. And there are two apps that I want to talk about. One is Notability, which is a phenomenal app. It's only $10. It's worth every single penny. I've tried other note-taking apps like this, and this, I think, is absolutely the best. I was using it during the previous session over there, and it will synchronize what you're typing, writing, or drawing, the audio, if you're recording it. So I use it in meetings and places like that. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's easy to use. It has lots and lots of customization that you can do. So again, it's very, very good. And then I want to make sure I don't let you go until I've talked about Sonocent. Ben Foss talks about the fact that there are three ways that we read. Most of us read by eye reading. People who have visual impairments read through finger reading. And a lot of us and our people we work with read through ear reading. I call Sonocent ear note-taking. So at any session today or this week where there have been slides, I download the slides and then it chunks it. So let me show you a little bit about it. And it has really cool audio stuff that they've done. It's another one that there's a free app, but you need to pay $12.99 to actually listen to more than 5 minutes. And then you can transfer it to a desktop. And the desktop is where it's really powerful. Many colleges and universities are starting to provide this for all of their students. At our university, for any student who gets services from our Disability Resource Center, they can use Sonocent. So if you look at it, do you see the little blue lines and red things? So as the speaker's talking, it's chunking that. And then every time the speaker pauses to take a breath or for a comma, it breaks the chunk up. And as I'm sitting there listening, if it's important, I can change the color of the chunk. And I can type, I can bring in slides. These are pictures from last year. I can also bring in slides or handouts, PDFs, and then go and type notes, because they have all these different columns so I can do different things with it. Now, if I were taking a class, I would very likely go back to my room and reorganize stuff. And you can do this so that you can take out some of the stuff you don't need, and so you can make very concise notes and you can still listen to it. So it's very, very good for many different kinds of, note takers and how people do the note taking. Well, that was really, really quick. Tried to give you some idea. And again, if you do that bit.ly, which was bit.ly/IDA17DCW, you'll be able to get all the sites and everything. And this is just some information here for you if you'd like it. Thank you very, very much. Have a good Friday evening and the rest of the conference.